Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest today.
Welcome to another episode with the Strive for 25 podcast, and I've got a really cool guest on with us today, Brian Tran in San Francisco, California. And before we get in, this is going to be a couple different lanes here. Brian's an investor talking about generating income. So this is going to fit into the savings equation track as well as the investment equation track. So Brian, please tell the listeners who you are and how they can find you as well.
Hey guys, my name is Brian Tran, serial entrepreneur right out of San Francisco, California. You can find me literally everywhere. I'm on YouTube. You can type in Brian Tran and usually put in realtor and I'll pop up. Or you can type in Mr. MrBrian on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm there. The only place you probably won't find me yet is Twitter, but I'll be on there. What's up, guys? I'm ready.
You got to make it happen. You got to make it happen soon. Twitter is blowing up right now. So for down the road. But yeah, so right now the biggest hot topic that I'm seeing from my seat and talking to clients, talking to other entrepreneurs is we're in a recession, is the market's going to crash. People are struggling to save money. And at the end of the day, recessions happen, right? Crashes are rare. But when recessions happen, it's an opportunity for those that are ready. So right now in your market, if you could, what is the biggest opportunity you see right out the gates? What is the biggest opportunity you're seeing in your market right now?
When it comes to real estate, now is your chance to actually negotiate, right? I've bought more properties in the last 3 months than I bought in the last 2 years. And the reason why is because I couldn't afford anything back then. It was literally madness. And as an investor, it didn't make sense. Nothing penciled out. And also, you got to understand, when you're buying so high, you're putting yourself at risk. At least in this market today, I am seeing opportunities where I can negotiate. I'm negotiating next year's prices, is how I like to explain it. So the property was a 1.3 back in just in January, and now it's 1 million. I'm negotiating an extra 10 to 20% off of that. So that if the market pulls back a little bit more, I'll be safe.
Yeah. And
now, the properties I'm buying are different than your end users. I will say that, guys, because I'm going to get attacked and say, oh my God, you're not writing 20% off every property in SF. I'm buying things with quirks and things that need to get fixed. So clear the air.
And that was one of the things that I saw on your profile was, hey, most people are really shying away from flipping with the uncertainty in the housing markets. And you're out there telling the world, hey, you are flipping properties in this market, which, and you've got a plan, you've got the numbers that you've mapped out and all that. Can you explain a little bit more about that again, just from the get-go to the finish line?
Yeah. So I don't speculate. Never did. I was never one of those kind of developers, flippers that were like, if I buy it for $1 million today, I think the market's going to appreciate 20%. It could be worth 1.2. I never did that. I always did it on hard facts, hard numbers. And in this market, I'm actually doing it differently. So before, we would base it on what things have been selling for. Now I take that number and I subtract 20%. And then if I can still flip it and make those numbers work and still turn a profit, I'll buy the project. But if I cannot, I walk away, because now is not the time to be taking unnecessary risk.
What's an example of, the size or style of a property that you've done recently?
I usually buy kind of the starter homes. Now, my area starter home is going to be different than some of the people that were listening to this podcast. Mine, the average home is about 1.1, 1.2 million. That's a starter home where I'm at. That's where I buy. And that's what I don't go to the high end. I don't flip the 2 million, the 3 million, the $5 million homes. It's risky. I'm sure some people are still making money, but that requires a lot of capital that I'm not willing to risk right now. Everything that I do today, it's, if it goes wrong, I won't be ruined. I won't be financially ruined. Now, I'm at a different stage in my career where I'm not looking to double down every single time. Now, in the beginning, when I started, granted, I was lucky. It was a rising market. I was able to double down to make capital very quickly, but I didn't have kids. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have anybody to worry about. Now I can't do that. If I mess around, my kid's going to be on the streets, and that will not happen ever. Will not let it happen. So
That's awesome. So bringing up kids and family in the journey. So, I really want to dig deeper on some of these different entrepreneurial aspects you have going on, all the things you have going on. But where did all this start? How did you get into the business? How did you get into all this stuff?
Yeah. So my dad, immigrant family, you hear the story all the time. That seems to be the secret sauce in a lot of people who make it, because you're able to see that, your parents left the country where it was in war, where it was a life or death situation, and they come here and they don't speak English and they don't know anything. They don't have any friends, family, and they're still able to make something of themselves, right? They're still able to put food on the table for me, my brother. And so that was always instilled in my brain. Now, did they actually say this is how you run a business? No. But what I saw spoke louder than what I was taught, right? I got to see them work hard day in, day out and actually buy a home. Wasn't the best home, wasn't the best neighborhood, but they were able to do it. So when there's a will, there's a way. And that's really what kind of sparked the fire in me. And I'm a dreamer. I was lucky enough to be, we're all built differently. I'm just glad I wasn't built smart. I'm not dumb, but I'm not the smartest guy. Like, because if I was, I probably would have been a doctor or a lawyer, and nothing wrong with that, but I would have had a ceiling to my income. So I had to figure it out some other way because I didn't get into any of the colleges. And then when I was in college, my brother he became a real estate agent and he was doing okay. And that's what kind of sparked me to say, okay, I knew I wasn't going to work for anybody. I knew I wasn't going to go out and apply for a job. Let's go explore this avenue. But I always wanted more. And so along the way, opened up different businesses. Some failed, some made it. I'm still a real estate agent till this day, but now I've accumulated over 9 different businesses that we own, and a bunch of rental units along the way. So where I'm not constantly trading time for money, and that's should catch everybody up.
Definitely. Time for money. And that's the thing, is that right now, in this day and age, like in my own journey, I've got 2 kids, I've got a job doing mortgages, and this industry is crazy. And then trying to do some stuff on the side. I've got real estate investments that I've got going on, and trying to build a online social media presence in this podcast. And there's only so much time in the day. And in the middle of the summer, I started kind of following, in the book Atomic Habits, he talks about the 2-minute rule. And hey, you know what? You want to build a habit, you got to start small. You got to start with the art of showing up. And so, I was struggling, like, hey, I got all this stuff to do, and I'm not getting it done. So I turned on a timer, 2 minutes, boom, and started that happen. And within a week or two, that pressure was off. And so, if somebody out there is not where they want to be today, and they want to be able to get to the point where they're, like Brian's saying, that you want to be able to, trade that time for money, it does take some sacrifice and heavy lifting to get there. And talking about balance is a myth, right? I mean, it's seasons, right? Hey, this is the season to do the heavy lifting and build that business and get it ready to go, so you can put it on autopilot. So running 9 businesses, right? That's a lot to do. How do you manage all that? Even if you may not be day to day and do it every single, heavy lifting, but how do you manage all that?
So I think you said it right. I don't manage all of them. I build teams. I partner strategically with the right people to where they run it. I help become the visionary for some companies. I help become the financier for others, right? But when you run one, it doesn't matter. To this day, I own coffee shops, boba shops, a virtual assistant company. I own, the real estate team, the flipping division. Although the day-to-day tasks may be different, the core principles of running a strong, solid business are the same across all the boards. And it starts with one. I didn't open 9 like right away. We started with one, built a strong, solid foundation, right? Then put the right person in to build the framework, to build the house, as I like to describe it. And then I stepped away. And then as it was running, I went to go do it again with another company. But with every single company, I will say this: my partners are the reason why I'm successful. And I can do a full podcast on what you should look for in a partner, how you should structure it. And you can't be greedy. Greed kills everything. right? So that's how the simple way of explaining it. But I think you're right. You know, the 2 minute rule, the atomic habit. I tell people all the time, especially on my message that I'm trying to push people, is that you don't have to have everything in place to start. It doesn't have to be perfect before you start. You don't need the blueprint before you start. Just start and everything will fall into place. That's what it is. You will figure it out along the way. If you truly love it, if you truly want to do it, you will figure it out. If you don't, you'll just make excuses. And this lifestyle was never meant for you. And that's okay. But at least you started and you realize that.
So are you saying that the desire, the want is the biggest factor, the biggest indicator?
Well, the why and the wants is, I guess you could say, kind of the two things. You got to have a why. Why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that will keep you grounded. That will keep you going. And then, yes, the desire, the hunger, the drive. Like, but I think that comes from the why.
Mm-hmm.
So the why is probably the most important.
Is that something that you want to share?
Yeah, let's talk about we can talk about that. My why?
Mm-hmm.
My why today is, before it was just to make enough to where I didn't have to worry about rent. It was just enough to not worry about the food. It was just the why was just the basics, getting your needs covered. But as we elevate it, I realized that now it's not the money, it's not the trophies, it's not the cars, but I don't want to waste the life I was given. I don't want to wake up on my deathbed with regrets and that feeling that I didn't give it my all. I didn't push it and really take advantage of the gift, right? Which is life. So that's my why now. It's transcended. It's gotten bigger because ultimately, and I thought that, my wife asked me all the time, why are we starting this? Why are we buying this? Why are you investing all this? Because I don't want to say that this is it. Like, yeah, this is great. I celebrate what I have accomplished, but by no means I don't let it get to my head. There's more to do. There's more to help. And the bigger my ecosystem gets, as I look out into my companies and I look out into the employees, like that feels good that now I can help people achieve their next level.
Yeah. And I definitely encourage you guys, y'all, guys and ladies, and all in between, to check out his profile because, when you're talking about investing, in good partners, right? And not being greedy. And if you see Brian's messages out there, it's all very inspiring, motivating, because you want people to know that it's possible, right? Some people may doubt themselves, but to know that it's possible. And talking to you, over these last couple of weeks, like you invest in your people. You want your people to be successful. You want them to grow and build their own thing for themselves on top of what they're already doing for your businesses and all the business you have going on. So I kind of want to take a step back and talk about that first business and some of the main things that you learned and that first person you brought in and how that all kind of fit together.
The first business actually that kind of started everything, that really like took off the business, was the real estate business. I knew that it's very lonely being a realtor to do everything on your own. So I quickly found a partner and I went through multiple partners before finding the right one. Mind you, I was 21 years old when I got into the business. So I didn't have enough life experience. There wasn't as many coaches and people out there talking about it. So it was a lot by trial and error. But you got to find somebody who shares the same vision, right? With that company. Now, they may not, most of my partners don't want private jets and big companies, Fortune 500. That's what I'm striving for. They don't all want that. But pertaining to that company, we have to have the same vision, the same goals, the same core values. The core values for my companies all across the board is we're not greedy. We make sure everybody's taken care of and we do things the right way, or we don't do it at all. Right. Same core principles. And you look for the partner that is who shares all those things, but also the same drive. Together, you guys complement each other's weaknesses and you go out and you set and you set clear expectations, and your partner has to be a good communicator. That is, you cannot compromise on that, because most relationships, and this is even not just with business, but with your spouse, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, if you're a poor communicator, it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's always your fault because you didn't express the right expectations. You're not talking. So therefore, people can't read each other's mind. So I think communication is the other aspect that I look for in partners. And we started in real estate, and we learned as we went. We worked hard, kept our head down. We weren't making the big bucks like today. And as we slowly started to build it, we slowly started to invest back into the business. And I'm going to be honest, real estate is probably one of the hardest industries to build a team in and grow it to something that's big and valuable. It's the hardest out of all the companies. Real estate is the hardest. Real estate sales. And that's when I realized, like, you're always broke. You're not always broke. Sorry. You're always out of a job the moment the escrow close, and you have to hunt again. And I hated that feeling. And that's why I started in 2016. I opened up our very first coffee shop. That's still around to this day, because I realized it didn't even matter if I was making $75,000 or $100,000 in commission that month. The next month, I had to go out there and hustle again. And you always get that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm broke because I don't have a job, right? If you don't have a client and you don't have escrows, you don't have a job. So that's why we opened up the coffee shop, because then it was quick. I knew how it wasn't like big bucks, but I knew how much money I was making every day. And I can go take that money and at least it would cover my rent. And if I didn't sell anything for the month of July, I had the base covered. And that's how we started, and started rolling and doing more things and adding it to reach the goal.
That's awesome. Okay. So listeners out there, completely randomly, do you have a favorite drink from your place? What's the name of your shop?
San Francisco, the coffee shop is called Rise and Grind Coffee House. We have 3 locations now. One in the Richmond district, right next to Golden Gate Park. One in the Mission, which is the big store. And then one in Oakland by Lake Merritt. So they're all by something cool that you can go hang out. And my favorite drink, I'm a simple guy. I try to avoid a lot of the sugars, but we have very special drinks, horchata lattes, creme brulee lattes. I keep my coffee black if I drink coffee.
Okay.
Just a cold brew. Has to be iced too.
Cold brew. Got it. I love it. So, you touched on something just so crucial there with the communication part, and you went through a number of people before you got to that person on the real estate side of things, and you're 21 years old, already outsourcing that's just bonkers crazy. So that, that's amazing. That person that was the right fit, how early on in your process of meeting that person did you know that they were the right one?
We did a couple of deals together, right? And the biggest thing was nobody tried to push work on anybody. It was like, I'd be more than happy to do it. Like, no, you want me to call that prospect right now? I'll call it. And literally it became like, let's both call them, right? Like, that's how driven we were to like, let's work this together. Now, obviously, as we've scaled the business and now doing multiple transactions, we're on track to doing $85 million this year, close out, like with pending and everything like that. And so now we have to do separate, but we used to do everything together. Like, we'll go out to an appraisal together and made it fun. While everybody else is treating it like a job, I get to hang out and we just were working, prospect together, like different clients, of course, but like in the same room. And then if we had both nothing to do, we'd go out on the field, go look at properties together, go show clients together. It was cool.
That's crazy, because that's the thing, is that, turning something from a negative into a positive, right? Like, it's hard work. It's, oh my God, it's a grind. And, we talk about this in the channel a lot. Like Tim Grover, the training for Michael Jordan, talks about, you're grinding. And sooner or later, you get left with just dust. And so if you're not forming something, and he talks about reframing, hey, this is an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to learn from each other. It's an opportunity to work together and have fun. Like that's a thing, is that, it's a maybe it was the right chemistry, maybe the right fit, but just, it's still, it's a choice. You could have looked at it negatively, but you took that opportunity to look at it positively. So a team is how many people now total?
So the way that the company 50 Hills Real Estate, I'm one of the co-founders. There's three of us, but as a company, we're 22 agents as of today. I know it kind of grew. It grew organically, and like I said, I'm not here. Like our team model works differently. They are not under my team. They are under the brokerage. Now,
Mhm.
within the brokerage, there are teams. And that's why we left Compass. Originally, we were at Compass, but it became very hard for our junior agents to elevate and become like independent of me. So there's 22 of us, but on the actual team, I think there's only four, five of us now, actually. Yeah.
Gotcha. So real estate, you add on the right team member, business grows. You start the coffee shop in 2016. Now it's three. You mentioned a couple other businesses.
We have it's so 2016, we opened up Rising Guard 1. 2017, I started up a company called the VA Hub, which provides quality virtual assistants. We outsource them into countries like the Philippines, Colombia, Argentina, but we are very much a US based company. And a lot of our clients are realtors, right? We all need help. There's a lot of job, especially through COVID. It taught us that you do not need somebody to be here. They can be
mm-hmm,
virtual. And
mm-hmm.
so my company provides that. And we're crushing it there. So that was 2017. I don't want to downplay that company, but that's probably one of my biggest companies. We have 500, over 500. It fluctuates daily because we do have cancellations, but we constantly add new people. We have over 500 clients nationwide in Canada and in Australia. So that's big. 2018, I opened up 2019, I opened up the second shop. 2020, second coffee shop. 2020, we opened up the boba shop in the middle of the pandemic, right? When people were scared and restaurants are closing, we open.
Wow.
Same thing now in this recession. Just because things are bad doesn't mean things aren't opening. Doors are always opening. 2021, I opened up a new media company. We shoot basically TikTok, social media, Instagram, and even also just real estate photos, photography. That's a new company that we started just this year, or like end of last year, moving into this year. The rental companies, obviously, we have a portfolio of 11 doors. So I treat that as a business itself. That's kind of, I might be forgetting something. Honestly, I got to sit down, but now it's, and a lot of them bleed, like they intertwine, right? Like, so some of my partners in the real estate are my partners in my other stuff. And so I don't look at it like 9 companies. I look at it like people. This is my tribe, and we go out there and we crush it. And they're all friends. We intertwine everybody so that everybody knows everybody, and we become like a very strong, like community that can't be toppled. You know,
I mean, that's absolutely amazing. You don't see that a lot. That tight knit type of community, at least in our industry, right? You have teams and groups and whatnot, but especially when you're intertwining multiple companies, that's just amazing. If you had advice to give to somebody that's earlier in their journey and they're at a 9 to 5 job, let's just say they're making, $25 an hour, $20 an hour, depending on where they are, right? And they're like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to build something for myself. I want to be able to take this dream and turn it into reality. What type of advice would you give to that person?
do they have any debt?
Good
Let's
question.
just say no debt for the sake of it, because we can work. I can work out a plan where you pay off the debt.
Sure. Let's make it simple. No debt.
No debt. Make sure you got a 6 month reserve. Okay. So if your monthly expenditure is 2,000 for rent, food, all that stuff, make sure you have $12,000 set aside, period. Okay. Because things go wrong when you're on this entrepreneurial journey. Second thing is I wouldn't quit your job. Now, in a rising market, like what we saw in 2020 when COVID was happening, money was everywhere. Sure, quit your job and go out there and crush it because you can make money quick. Now it's harder to make money. I think this year you got to have high skills to make money. You can still make a lot of money, but if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to get into, like, let's say real estate or start a business, but you don't have the skills, you don't have room to make mistakes. So put the 6 months aside. Now I would go and find a skill that will allow me to make more money. And that skill that I would recommend is sales. It could be life insurance. It could be real estate. It could be, I mean, literally anything, right? Tech sales, whatever. Get into a sales role where it's commission based, where they won't like require you to be in the job 9 to 5. And then I would work my butt off from 9 to 5, 5 to 10, I go work. Sacrifice. I think you said this in when we were talking. What sacrifice are you willing to make today to get to where you want to go tomorrow? It's not going to be easy. And so you have to make that commitment today. Are you willing to have this hard journey for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years to have the life that, you dream of? That's where I'd start.
Love it. So sales, right? Marketing probably falls into that in some regards. Social media,
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff out there. Do you see any of your friends, contacts, other entrepreneurs that are doing other things to generate money on the side? Out of their
I
nine
have
to
a good
five?
example. My buddy Ray, who's now in a couple of flips with us and a couple and long-term holds. He got into wholesaling. Bro, for those of you guys who don't know what wholesaling is, you're basically locking up a contract to buy a property and then selling the contract. Requires zero money, just a lot of skills, but you can build those skills. He did exactly that. Put 6 months aside, but he took it a step further. He quit his job.
Oh, wow.
He went all in. And he has a kid,
Oh,
like 2 years old.
damn.
He went all in because he knew he can get a job back again. But he was like, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
And today he's, 2 flips in, and he locked up a property that's finishing remodel that should cash flow like $2,000 a month.
Cash flow $2,000.
$2,000, yeah.
That's amazing.
And he did make a sacrifice. He left a 6-figure job. I think he was making like 180 or so.
Damn.
Did he make 180 this year? No, absolutely not. But he is happier than ever because he now sees the light. He made, I don't, not going to go exactly how much he made, but he's made a good amount. He didn't make 180, but he can see that in year 2, year 3, year 4, no cap. Because why? His skills is building. He's getting better. The deals are only going to get bigger. He did this with no knowledge, no real estate knowledge. You know what I mean? So
Let's say that you're talking to somebody that's early on in their sales journey, whatever
Sure.
it is that they're selling. What is the most important thing that a salesperson should know to be able
you
to
got to have
continue to
mindset.
level?
You're going to suck. You're going to suck. You're not, especially if you go into something that you've never sold before, you're going to suck. So toughen this up right here. Your brain, your mindset, people are going to talk crap about you. Your mom and dad are probably going to be like, why'd you quit your job? Why are you in sales? Who do you think you are? You're too salesy. All that stuff's going to come as a beginner. So strengthen this, drown it out, keep your head down, get better. Listen to your coach, listen to your mentor, join a team, somebody that's going to be able to really care about you, show you what to do, give you the tools, but ultimately they can give you all the tools that you need. It's up to you whether or not you're going to pick it up and use it. So that's the thing. Toughen this up first, though.
That's so true, because one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is this, comfort, getting into a comfort zone and equilibrium. And I'll come back to this in just one second. We had a guy that's a friend of mine come on the podcast last week. It hasn't aired yet. His name is Duck Lee. And this is somebody that I grew up with. And he got into sales. He was at Paychex and I think Cintas, and always did well in sales. Bought a couple houses and turned them into rentals. And I call it, on this channel, we call it the stair step method: buying a property, living in it, saving up, buying the next one, turning the old one into a rental. He did that a couple of times. And by 2020, this guy's, he's a couple years older than me. So he's in his mid to late 30s at this time, and then had 2 doors. And COVID hits. He's a very social person, and he was just isolated. And he and his wife, they were isolated. And at that time, they were in Chicago. They're from St. Louis, lived in Chicago. They came back, and but right now he's got 153 doors and just retired from his job, a good paying job. Like, he just scaled that fast and bought him in the right area, the right connections, all the stuff. But for him, it was pain. The pain was greater from where he was at that moment in time versus the pain for change. And his why was strong enough and the how figured itself out. And that was something that you mentioned before, the struggle that you and your parents, all went through in the beginning of the journey, and them buying a house and not coming over here with nothing, etc. And that's a common theme, right? I mean, struggle, pain in everyone's different way. And, myself, I found myself in periods of comfort and, complacency and not pushing the next level. And that's where I talk about that equilibrium. It's hard to push the next level, right? Because we get that pain and you work your way to get back to equilibrium. And then sometimes we hit that success and it could be just as uncomfortable as it is down here. And so it takes sometimes a lot of pain to push the next level. So, and any thoughts on that in terms of that everyday person trying to take it to the next level? Any advice on let's say that, you don't know how to push the next level. Any advice on that?
Go to a hospital, right? Walk the halls as a volunteer. Say you just want to give donuts and go see all the sick people. Then you realize that life is short and that you can't waste it. See, I have a story because I think when my dad got sick, he got cancer twice, but the second time he didn't make it. But cancer beats up your body and it slowly kills you. It doesn't kill you right away. Your organs start to shut down. So he was in the hospital for a long time. And he survived for, I think, 7 months. It's blurry. I don't really remember too much, but we were there every day. I was at the hospital every day from, I think, like 18, 19 to whatever the year is. He passed away in 2011, I think, but 2010 for every day I was in there. And you just see the sick people. You see, like, in their eyes, like, damn, the regret. You don't need to experience your own near-death experience to realize, like, to see life flash you by. So go to the hospital and see that. That should kick you into high gear.
Love it.
Okay. That's the first step. I mean, I just want to make it simple. Like, I don't want to give like a generic, like, do that. Do that with what I'm saying today. And you will see people who had stroke, heart attack unexpectedly. Do you want to be there? And just think about what they're thinking. That should drive you to go further, faster, and don't waste this life.
I mean, you hit it so hard on the head right there. You said it, that's impactful. And if somebody actually did that, you're going to have, a really, level setting and a reset, I'm sure. But that's it, right? Just do that. Don't go to the next thing. Just go do that and then come back, right? Come back and talk to us, right? Like, that's the thing, is that people know what they need to do. They just don't do it. They don't do it enough or don't do it consistently enough, and that's the biggest, what we see, that's the biggest, barrier for a lot of people. Okay. So what else? From an entrepreneur standpoint, I mean, there's just so much here to dig into.
There's a lot, have clarity in what it is that you want. Not like I said, my different partners all want different things, right? We're all at different stages in life, different steps. It's about understanding where you are and understanding where you want to be and being very clear with that. Be as specific as possible. Write it down and work towards that. That will keep you grounded. That will keep you on track. That will keep you from the shiny object syndrome where, boom, oh my God, new idea, jump that way. Boom, new idea, jump that way. Focus. And then when you almost there, push the boundary, reevaluate your clarity, reevaluate what you really want, because it does change. And so as human beings, we change as we grow and as we learn things, as we reach new heights, our obstacle changes, our vision changes, our journey changes, and that's okay. Be fluid, but know what you want and not what I'm telling you what you want. What do you want? You know what I mean?
And not everybody does, right? That was one of the things you mentioned before about good communication, setting the right expectations, but some people don't necessarily take enough time to have that clarity and taking the time out to really figure out what you want to do with your life and your vision and your goals. And do you want to just take one of your businesses? Because you mentioned each of the businesses has, the partners have to have the same alignment of goals with the business and the hunger and the drive, right? Now, you as kind of the main entrepreneur, backing a lot of these different businesses, you're going to have a little bit of a different vision of the overall umbrella. But can you share this an example of one of the businesses in terms of that type of expectations and clarity?
So the main thing before we even start the business, I usually sit down with the partner. I usually kind of have an idea of who that partner is. And I don't start off with the business. Some people start off with, I'm going to open the coffee shop and I'll find people to plug them in. I do the opposite. As I kind of go out and I talk to people and I network, I look at them. I said, what would you be good at? What do you want to do? And it's about them, not about me. And then we curate the business around them. And so I spend my time asking a lot of questions. Have you thought about what you want to do? Have you thought about how much you want to make? What does your life look like in 1, 3, and 5 years? I ask very hard questions sometimes. And my wife is like, you just met them. Why are you asking this? Because what do you want me to do, honey? Hey, how's Sunday football? How's the basketball game yesterday? I'm not going to sit there and talk about those things. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to ask hard questions because then it's a very unique answer, very unique question. And then it's a deeper conversation. I go deep, whereas most people stay surface level, And so that's how it kind of starts. And that's why every single partner is on a different journey, different path. And that's where we're keeping, and then we built the plan out that aligns with that.
So you have a coffee shop that you opened in 2016, and then you opened the boba shop in 2020.
I think end of 2020. So, but I think it officially launched
in 21.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the idea for a boba shop came as a result of meeting the right entrepreneur partner that could fit that?
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
If you look at my businesses, they're so random. They have nothing to do with each other. And that's because it wasn't designed to be all the same. It was designed by different partners, different players,
From a system standpoint, running all the businesses and check-ins and monitoring all the data. I mean, is that anything that you can share just from the regular monthly, quarterly alignment of vision and updates and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think the main thing is like that. That's the same across all boards. Is we all use QuickBooks, right? That's the one common thing. Why? Because finances is everything. Money in, money out, expenses, expenditures, they don't change. I mean, meaning it doesn't matter what business you're running. That's the main thing.
Yep.
Right. Either making money or not. From there, so with the product and the service that we sell is different, but at the end of the day, business is as simple as trading time or a service or a product for money. And if you do it correctly, you make money. If you do it incorrectly, you lose money. And so, yes, we do go through business planning. We set out goals of what we want to achieve every single business. Starting off with a monthly goal, sometimes we have some things aren't monetary. Like we want to give back. In this company, I want to give back. So we put those on there. And obviously in America, everything costs money. So yeah, it comes down to money, but that's what we do.
So which of the businesses do you see the most potential? And because I know, in the short time that we've known each other, you've got some pretty big goals and pretty big aspirations with what you want to be able to do, not only for yourself, but for the people that are involved in all your ventures. What's the heights? What do you see this all coming?
The biggest company is going to be the ones that are not reliant on brick and mortar, right? Or a certain location. So it's going to be the VA Hub, which is a virtual assistant company. And then it's going to be social media. The personal branding, that's what we're spending so much time, energy, and effort. This is the new currency. These have unlimited potential because I can hop on a camera like this and get in front of thousands of people. The VA Hub, we don't have a store. We don't have anything that bounds us to how much we can make. And I'm going to give the example of the coffee shops. My one coffee shop can only make the Richmond can only pump out maybe maximum $4,000 in sales a day. Why? We only have one machine. The space is small. We can only service so many customers a day. So that's why I started to move away from brick and mortar businesses, because in order for me to grow and scale, it requires so much capital, so much money. Whereas the VA Hub, it's all digital, meaning virtual and digital. If I want to grow, I literally can hire people. They all work from home. I don't have to buy a bigger building. I don't have to open a bigger office, which costs a lot of overhead. That's why I think those two companies are going to do the best: social media and the VA Hub.
I love it. I love it. I mean, on point. I mean, and that's the thing is with the whole Twitter acquisition, and just there's a premium being paid on attention, on eyes.
Yep.
And there's this battle from music to video to YouTube to all the apps. Any insider thoughts on how some of these things will shake out over the next few years?
Realtors, you're going to hate me, but I think in 10 years, our industry might be gone. Like, well, not gone. People are still going to need agents, but it's going to literally, like, one agent is going to be able to service 100 people. Why? Technology is getting better. Today, the virtual goggles are freaking awesome. Imagine when you can actually immerse yourself and walk and touch and feel. It's going to happen in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, nobody guessed that cars would drive themselves. Nobody would guess that. Virtual reality is so cool. Like, there's games that we can jump in and shoot zombies and walk around in a box. It's going to happen with real estate. So I think that if you don't plan into becoming a good businessman and pivot and learn how to navigate tough times, hard times, and how to spend your money correctly, and you think that this industry is going to be forever, any industries for that fact, you got to be just a good business person, not just a good realtor, not just a good lender, not just a good coffee person. Heck, the robots are making coffee now. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine when they get faster. Like that, it might change things. It might shake it up.
So what are we going to be doing in 10 years? The masses. What's the everyday person going to be doing?
So I don't have a prediction. All I know is that I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better at my skills. I'm going to get better at sales, better at communication. And no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. My family will be okay. Yeah.
Damn right. I mean, that's the thing. Here we are talking about this stuff. And, if you go on to Brian's social media, which I encourage you to do, he is trying to let people know that your dreams are possible. Whatever you want to do, like, go do it, and follow Brian every single day, because you have something to say every single day to motivate you. So if you're not taking that next step to, instead of building someone else's business, someone else's dream, take one step every day, 2 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day to build your own dream, your own business. Imagine where your actions will be in compound after a year of doing that every single day versus someone else's business. So any other thoughts or advice you'd give to that person that's ground level, that doesn't know where to go next with starting a business?
I mean, honestly, it's going to be so vague. You're going to hate me. Just start. Like you said, find something you like and start there. You'll learn along the way. You'll learn that you either love it or you either hate it, and just keep going.
Yep.
Right. I can't sit here and tell you to do any specific thing because everybody's different. But once you start, you will naturally find that mentor that can guide you. And the sooner you discover who you are and what you want, you can then align yourself with the right coaches, the right mentors that can then take you there. I'm not for everybody, right? But I just want to, that's why my message is just start.
Are you saying from a mentorship standpoint, is that something that right now that you have capacity for some people out there?
I'm always interested in hearing ideas. If you guys, obviously I get a lot of messages and a lot of people ask me questions and I don't have time to answer everything, but shoot me a message. I'd love to help you guys as much as I can. Maybe we'll do like one big webinar, one big Q&A. I'm working on that. I kind of want to do that where I can help a bunch of people and inspire a bunch of people. But I can't, sit here and especially with beginners, sometimes they ask very general questions. That's what these podcasts are for, to get all the general questions out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start and you've narrowed things down, like for example, if somebody wants to get into the junk business, like you don't want to come to me. You want to go to like some of the junk guys. If somebody wants to get into car flipping, like you don't want to go to me. Go to somebody who's actually flipping cars. You know, they will be able to help you much better, much faster than if you just come to me. But come to me first, and then as you niche down, that's you'll learn who to talk to more.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everything that I know about you, it's like you got to do the work. There's no shortcut for the work, and you don't have to. May not know all the answers, and it's fine. There's people out there who spend so much time researching and reading, and a month goes by and you've done nothing. Like
analysis paralysis.
Yeah, the work is a major part of the actual learning process, and that's something that I've had to kind of get over on my own. That fear of spending time on something and wasting the time. Like I've had to do that on my own as I've trying to build these other businesses. You just got to do the work and know what doesn't work, and then reroute. And the time, it may feel like you're wasting the time, but it matters. You're learning the entire way.
You're gonna waste time regardless, because life doesn't stop. You might as well try it out.
Might as well get something out of it. Yeah, at least try something. Okay, so we're running out of time here, but
all right.
We definitely got to get you back on the show in the next near future. 6 months from now, what's the benchmark or goal that you're trying to hit?
6 months from now, I got a lot of companies, but let's just go personal growth. 6 months from now, I'm going to take the social media thing like to the next level. Like we're going to reach a much bigger audience. We're going to be the number one podcast show. We're going to be the number one like business guy to follow 6 months from now. And we're working towards that. Everything else, it'll fall into place. If I can get the social media attention, I can get the audience, I can direct them to all the other businesses, and those businesses are going to like quadruple.
Love it. The podcast, the name is what again?
The Winners Club Podcast.
Oh,
you just have to add in Brian Tran. Otherwise, we're kind of new, and I like as all thing new is hard to find it. But the Winners Club Podcast, Brian Tran, and it'll pop up.
Cool. I love it. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And I love it. You got to follow Brian on Instagram and TikTok.
I'm on there. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Brian Tran, same thing.
Yep. But yeah, we're going to have you on very, very soon. Any entrepreneur out there, message Brian if you get a chance. He may or may not respond, but please do. And thanks again, Brian. We're going to have you on soon. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Peace.